Story time. All right. So I don't know if you guys remembered the Broken Records episode. If not, go watch it. So Elizabeth is the main character. And at the age of 14, Elizabeth was a firecracker. But she was also exhausted and was taking on way too much for a 14-year-old. Her father was abusive. He was an alcoholic. He was disrespectful. He was all of the bad things. All right. Fast forward, mom divorced him. We don't know where he is or what he's doing. We don't care. We're done with him. Mom's doing better. She's now in college, 19, living her best life. She is also super outspoken. There's something about dealing with, those abusive fathers that make you turn into a very well-rounded, outspoken woman. Anywho, Elizabeth is, despite her outspokenness, she's friendly, she's cool, she talks to people, she has a decent circle of friends. Enter my guy, Michael, this sort of jock, like he's strong, he's chocolatey, he plays football, and he just believes that all the women love him except for Elizabeth. She cannot stand that man. She can't stand him because he possesses far too many qualities that are similar to her father's. He just gives off, he emanates this arrogance, this cockiness, this I own this and you. And she wants nothing to do with it. Unfortunately, her best friend, Stacy, is dating a gentleman, Josh, who's best friends with Michael. So it's not all that easy to get away from Michael. In present day, Stacy's birthday is coming up. They're going to throw the party at this diner that they all go to, her group of friends, Stacy's group of friends, a lot of people that they've gotten close to because they all suffered through their philosophy class. And so that's where Stacy is throwing her birthday party. As they're all at this party, they're all having a good time. Everyone's friends are there. Of course, she sees Michael and she's doing her absolute best to avoid him. Every time they come together, it's just butting heads. It's clashing. It's a whole lot of throwing disrespectful banter. Neither of them enjoy it. I don't think. So she's hanging out with Stacy, and Stacy's also, periodically hanging out with her boyfriend, but, they're kind of all over the place. They're just living their best life, and, they're laughing it up, they're drinking, they're smoking, they're young, they're vibing. And Stacy just turned 20, and she's banking on her father, who has loads and loads of money, getting her this new BMW for her birthday. She's also incredibly spoiled. So, Elizabeth tells Stacy she's just going to run over to the bar to grab something real quick. She's like, yeah, no worries. She turns around and she walks into this brick wall, and it's our guy, Michael. Michael, the motherfucking man. Michael spills his drink onto Elizabeth's off-white skin-tight dress. You already know what that ended up leading to. Elizabeth is heated. She's throwing all of these insults at him. You can't keep your head on. Everything that insults his intelligence. You can't think of anything outside of football. Yada, 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 da, 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 da. And of course, Michael says the best thing he could possibly say. Why don't you turn around and let me help you take that stick out your behind? That does it. They are just going at it. And of course, everybody's head is turned. That light, super cool air and vibe that was covering the party before, gone. And I guess eventually they sort of come to, they sort of, pull out of this angry stupor, and she looks around and she sees everybody staring at her, and she sees the disappointment in her best friend Stacy's face, and she's like, I'm not staying here. I'm not dealing with this. And she storms out. Elizabeth, despite her being friendly, she's also hot-headed. And I genuinely do feel like this comes from her having to put up this strong woman front at the age of 14 so that she doesn't necessarily feel attacked by her own father. There's a little bit of psychology for you. So she dips out. She goes to her favorite club. She doesn't want to deal with the issues that she's going to have to deal with her best friend. She doesn't want to deal with all of the issues that Michael pointed out to her in the middle of them arguing. Michael said a lot about her being high and mighty, about her not wanting to deal with her problems, making all of her issues everybody else's responsibility. She doesn't want to think about that. She doesn't want to think about any of those insults that hit really close to home. So now she's drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. This is supposed to be her living her best life, but she's really just trying to escape. She just wants to get away. She doesn't want to deal with it. She doesn't want to acknowledge her problems. The night goes on. She's dancing with random people. She's making out with random people. She is just trying to disappear. She's trying to allow the atmosphere to swallow her whole. Eventually, it gets close to quitting time. It's damn near 3 o'clock in the morning. The clubs are getting ready to close. You know, it's time. Like, you have to go. So she whips out her phone, almost dropping it because she is drunk. And she's just sort of flinging her finger all over the screen looking for the Uber app. Everything comes up except for the Uber app. And she finds herself on Instagram. And, of course, her best friend, Stacy, posts all of these amazing pictures of the party, and she feels even worse. They don't love me. They don't need me. They already forgot about me. And she just dives deeper into her drunken depression. Not a good combination. So she's still looking for the Uber app, but now she's distracted from looking for the Uber app. Now she's just stumbling outside. She's no idea what it is she's supposed to do, how she's going to get home. She's just scrolling through the pictures that her best friend just posted, and she's feeling left out. She's feeling some type of way. So she turns around. She's walking. She has no idea where she's going. She's walking down the street. She turns around, and she walks into that wall, that brick wall that is Michael. Did I tell y'all this man played football? He is a solid man. So, he himself, he is also very, very far away from sobriety. My guy is drunk. The two of them are drunk. They see each other. Their drunkenness does not suppress the anger. All they're doing now, they're just yelling slurred words at one another. They're not pronunciated anymore. It's just a bunch of jibber jabber, just BS, nonsense. They just really don't like one another. And so eventually this car pulls up and the window comes down and this gentleman yells out, "For Michael?" Obviously that's his Uber. So Michael's like, yeah, that's me. And he just, ambles on over to the car, and Elizabeth follows him into the car. And now they're yelling at each other again because Michael's like, "This is my Uber." And they're just going at each other's necks consistently. They get to Michael's place. The Uber driver's like, "Get the F out of my car. I don't care who paid for the Uber. I don't care if you tip me. Get out." So they stumble out the car. They make it to his apartment. And they're still arguing. But somehow that arguing turns into sloppy making out. And you already know where that leads to. They had themselves a very exciting night, despite the way it started. So let's just go ahead and fast forward to when the sunlight hits the living room, because the two of them are butt naked on the living room floor. They did not make it to anybody's room. And Michael is the first person to wake up. He jolts awake. He looks over at Elizabeth and he jumps again, and his arm sort of like flails and slaps her, and she wakes up and she looks at him and she's getting ready to scream and yell at him. But the both of them have these raging hangover headaches that are preventing them from just returning to that argument that they were in. All of the arguments that they were in from the night before. It was just one after the other. These two would not quit. So she shout whispers to him as she's gathering all of her clothing. "You tell absolutely no one about this mistake. It will never happen again." And he just says, "Ditto." She gets her stuff. She leaves. She is able to call an Uber this morning, despite the blinding light of the sun. She makes it home. She does not call Stacy. She doesn't call any of her other friends. She tells nobody about what happened last night, but she has a number of missed calls from her best friend, Stacy, and she just thinks to herself, oh, now you care about me. She's just all up in her feelings. So she packs up all of her stuff because it's getting close now to winter break, and she's just ready to just get her stuff and just take that long drive back home. On her way back home, she calls her mother. She's trying to just, decompress. Her and her mom are talking, and her mom's like, I'm so excited for you to come home this holiday season. There's so much I have to tell you, so much I want to show you, so much we have to catch up on. She's an only child, so her and her mother have become significantly closer after bonding over the tragedy that was her father. And so after 8 grueling hours of driving, she gets home. She unpacks. Her mother's like, I know you just got here. Just take a shower, dress nicely. I'm going to make dinner. I can't wait to tell you what I have to tell you. So she's exhausted, but she doesn't want to break her mother's heart, especially because she just came from breaking a whole bunch of other people's hearts, specifically her best friend. She takes a shower. She gets ready. She gets dressed. She goes downstairs. And her mother's in the kitchen all snuggled up with this older gentleman, salt and pepper. He's got a, nice solid build. He looks good. He looks good for how old he probably is. So she doesn't want to interrupt that. She's like, oh, that's all the news. That's the big news. Yay, Mom finally found love after the asshole that was my father. So she turns around and she heads over to the living room where she sees that brick wall sitting on her couch. And all of the anger just floods her system. What are you doing here? He jumps. His phone falls out of his hand. He's like, what are you doing here? I live here, she shouts back. And he's like, oh no. God, no. Please, no. Enter his father, her mother, holding hands. This individual does not belong in my story. Enter his father, her mother, holding hands. Her mother's the first person to say something. We have great news for you guys. We've been dating for a while, and we want to get married. The two of them, simultaneously, the only time they disagree on something. What? Flies out of both of their mouths. What an interesting record we have playing now. Stay tuned for the next story. Thank you for tuning in.